This is zebracode.io, and we're on lesson 5, and we're learning about for loops here, and this is a demonstration. You should have reviewed all of the concepts and seen the basic constructs, and now we're going to go to our Python Anywhere environment. You can also be doing this on your PC, either way, and we're going to be working in two tabs. One, we're going to have the files, and I'm going to create a file here called demo within our homework lesson 5 folder, and it's a .py file, and I'll be editing here on our browser-based system at Python Anywhere. And the first thing I want to write is, this is a demo, so this is a comment. The hashtag sign or the pound sign represents a comment. It's not processed by the interpreter, and it's meant to be read by people. And so I'm going to write a for loop for x in range 0 to 5. So this is going to start at 0 and go all the way up to, but not include 5. I have my colon here, and that starts my code block here, and I'm going to print x. So this is the most basic code we've seen. I can save this off, and now I should see, I can run it here. Opening up two tabs, I can run a console, and I'm going to be launching a bash console. I always recommend two tabs. One tab is for editing your code, and the other one is for running the bash console here. So I'm launching the bash console here, and I'm going to cd into our appropriate folder where the demo.py file is created. Cd into homework, cd into lesson 5 here, and now we can see, doing an ls list, I can see the demo.py file here. So in order to run it, I type Python 3. That specifies using Python version 3. I run the code, and I get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So these two lines of code here is essentially going from 0 all the way up to 5 in this case, but not including 5. So let's change it to 7, and let's run this again. And if we run it again, and this it can go all the way up to, but not include 7. And if we execute the code, we can see we get all the way from 0 all the way up to 6. So you should experiment with this, type this out, and try different things. Now, it also has a the for loop also has an option, a step function. So this means that by default, if I don't put anything, it's going to increment by 1. I've changed it to 2. Now it's going to increment by 2. So I go from from 0 to 2 to 4 to 6. So by just changing that number, I can change the step here from 1 to 2. And if I don't include anything, the default increment is 1. Also, we can try different things. Let's try going from a high number to a low number, because previously we've always gone reverse. In this case, let's do a negative increment. So I can do a negative increment 2, for example. So I'm going to start at 9, and I'm going to go down all the way until I get to 3, but I'm not going to include 3 depending on this case, and I'm going to do it by an increment of negative 2. So let's go ahead and clear this, and now let's run our demo through. So we can start off with 9, and we go to 7, and we get to 5, and we don't include 3 because that's the outer boundaries. And so you should experiment with this. Again, try typing it, try changing it, predicting what the results will be. Let's go to our base example here of 0 to 5 again, and let's start with sum. Let's create a new variable and initialize it to 0. Sum equals 0. And now within, we can also change x. We can change x to item. Again, we just need to be consistent with this. I want to demonstrate this as we showed that in the concepts. But we can also have a sum here, and so we've initialized it to 0, and we're going to say sum is equivalent to sum plus item. So initially sum is 0, but each time it goes through this loop, each time it hits line 5, we're going to be changing sum, because sum is going to be the current value of sum plus the item amount. And item amount is going to start at 0 and go all the way up to, but not include 5. Now at the very end, we can print sum, and so we can iterate through this loop going from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, not including 5, and each time we'll print out the item, and we can change our value of sum, and we can calculate it. And let's go ahead and run this code, and we get 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get the sum of 10. Now, if we add all those numbers together, 4 plus 3 is 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10. So that's where we get the value of sum. So it's really important. You can change the code slightly depending on the order, and sometimes you get slightly different results. So you should experiment with it, change, and predict. One other thing we also want to do is we want to put, when we're outside of the loop, or we want to put a little bit more description on here, I can put the sum is, and I'm going to concatenate it with sum. Now, does this look like it's going to work, or is this not going to work? And let's go ahead and execute this code and see what we get. So I can clear the screen, and let's re-execute. You can use the up and down arrows, remember, to change to your most recent commands. And we get an error here. We say at line 6, it can't convert integer to string. And that's because if we have a string here, the sum is as a string value, and we need to convert sum explicitly to a string here in order to concatenate those two together. So now if we run the program, we should get a nice clean answer outside of the loop, outside of the code block. We get the sum is 10, and that represents the accumulated value outside of the loop in line 6 here. So this is a good example of a for loop. Again, type out the code, execute it, run, change, predict the results. The only way you're going to learn how to code is to actually do it. Next, we're going to be showing a demo of the while loop. This is zebracode.io. Thank you.